Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Humor in Chaos podcast. And today we are featuring the very adventurous Julie O'Mara. And let me tell you a little bit about her from her bio. She goes by Dr. Julz as well. And Dr. Julz is a transformational speaker, lifestyle medicine practitioner, and expert in integrated behavior health. Holding a doctorate in the field and a clinical counseling certificate from Arizona State University. She helps people heal by rewiring thought patterns, breaking free from fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses, and creating sustainable, disease-free lives through the power of the mind. She works with clients to shift from avoidance-based habits to empowered, health-aligned choices, transforming behavior from the inside out. Her work blends neuroscience, trauma-informed care, and lifestyle medicine to empower people to move from fear-based decisions to intentional health-centered habits. In addition to her health practice, Dr. Julz is the founder and owner of Butterfly Vacation Rentals, a short-term rental management company with properties in 4 states, which she co-operates with her partner, Ryan. She is also the author of Airbnb Management 101, offering insight into profitable values-based property management. Julie and Ryan split their time between Boise, Idaho, and Largo, Florida, embracing a bi-coastal lifestyle that reflects their passion for flexibility, freedom, and intentional living. Originally from the Midwest and a proud Iowa Hawkeye, which I hope won't be a problem because I'm from Minnesota.
As long as you're not a
Julie,
Nebraska Cornhusker, we're okay.
Julie is also the proud mom of 2 grown children who are each pursuing their dreams. Welcome, Julie. How are we
Thank you.
today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is an amazing experience, and I feel very privileged to be here.
I'm very privileged to have you. I am so excited. I describe you as adventurous because I know that you and I talked on the phone while I was on my own vacation in Minnesota. And you were on your way out of the country to do something very few people do. So I'm hoping you'll at least touch on that. But where do you want to begin with your story?
Um, if- I guess sort of from the beginning of what flipped me to what I'm want to serve and help people with now, if that's okay.
That's fine. That's
I
great.
won't I won't go clear to my childhood. As you said, I'm from the Midwest, and I grew up with the mindset of my generation was work harder, climb the corporate ladder. The harder you work and the faster you go, and the more things you achieve by the corporate standards, the more successful you'll be. And I really embraced it. My success was determined by the title I had. So if I was a senior VP or if I was a CEO, like that was my mindset that was my only measure of success in my 20s and 30s. And I did that. I was a complete overachiever. I built programs from scratch. I was very creative. I broke tons of records. I won tons of awards. And I gave everything I had to my work. And I never truly had balance. When I was younger, I didn't, on my 30s, I wasn't that young. I didn't really date. I never really had hobbies. And I poured everything in. I did after 9/11. The company I worked for, when I had really achieved at only 27, being a senior VP in a healthcare company, after 9/11, it folded. It lost everything and sold off. And so I went back home to the Midwest and thought, what am I gonna do? And all of my friends have these amazing, well, what I considered that I was jealous of. They had a husband and a home and children and a 401k, and they were building future plans for their life. And I'm just like out of work, but it still didn't click fully. So I still was looking for the next big job, right? But I did at least want to get married. So I put as much effort into dating as I did into my resume and finding a job. So I kind of split my time. I did get married, and my husband, my ex-husband now, moved us to Idaho. And in Idaho is where I found the job that I felt was the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. And I was hired as the CEO of Junior Achievement of Idaho. And I took a program that only was in 14 classrooms, serving like, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred students and the staff of just one, to serving over 500,000 students in 26 different school districts with $1 million budget in only 3.5 years. I grew it to a staff of 11 and created it statewide. Because I was so passionate about it, and it helped me be more driven about it. But that was my only circle. I still didn't have any friends. We didn't have any couple friends. I did my kids' activities, but beyond that, I did nothing outside of work. And it just literally became my identity. So much so that Carolyn Hawley, who was a news anchor on Channel 7, actually called me Julie Achievement once on the news, talking about our programs. So it was just, it's who I was, and it became my identity. And then the people I trusted betrayed me, and I lost my job. And that's when I realized that pouring everything into my work and neglecting the rest of my life and having no balance comes at a massive cost. Yeah. So I spent 10 years then in trauma, in anger, in isolation, and it just ate me away from the inside out, because I didn't have the tools back then to process the stress and process the grief and the pain. And I didn't have a support system to turn to. So not only the tools, I didn't have hobbies, I didn't have anything else that gave me purpose or fulfillment in my life. So I was just trying to continue on and go through the motions, but I wasn't really living. And so it took me, what that caused was the stress and anger literally ate me away from the inside out. And it caused my carotid artery to severely dissect, which then gave me a massive stroke. And I ended up having very little blood flow to the left side of my brain. And it wasn't enough to keep me alive outside of a hospital bed. And they gave my family like 6 or 7 hours to make a decision if they were going to keep me alive on a ventilator and a feeding tube, or what to do. I was only 46 years old, and I didn't have a living will. My children were like 11 and 13, and I had to be strong enough to have a surgery, a bypass brain craniotomy, where they were going to reroute arteries from the right side of my brain to the left side of my brain to try to get the blood flowing. And I didn't have enough strength for that surgery for a day and a half. And they told me that I had to be able to lift my arm in the morning to have that surgery, and how critical that was. And my 11-year-old daughter came to my bedside came to my hospital bed and stood there and said, "Mommy, you're strong. You can lift your arm." And she just repeated words like that and phrases like that in my head. And I fell asleep. In my mind and my memory, to me, she did it all night long. I have no idea how long she actually did. It could have been a few, 5 minutes or a few minutes, but it kept repeating in my head. And in the morning, I lifted my arm like that much, and they took me into surgery. They drilled a hole through the side of my head, rerouted 2 arteries from my temple to the other side, and got the blood flowing. And the surgeon said, "I saved her life. I don't know what's going to happen from here." And I woke up completely paralyzed on the left side of my body. And I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't walk. I was half paralyzed. And I stayed that way for 7 days. And on the morning of the 7th day, when I woke up, I saw the nurses coming in that took care of me, and they were so cute and put together and living their professional career and doing all the things and smiling. And I just remember laying there crying, thinking, that was me a week ago. Like, I was on top of my game. I had just closed my first 7-figure sponsorship in nonprofit, and it happened in a day, in a split second. This happened when I was healthy. And so I just remember laying there saying, crying, being like, that was me a week ago. And something happened, and my brain just said, do not let this define you. Do not go home be paralyzed for your kids. Do not let this one thing define who you're going to be from here on out, because these people caused that trauma and you didn't deal with it. This can't be the outcome for the rest of my life. And by the end of the day, again, my arm and leg moved about that much. And they got me up doing PT, OT, speech therapy, all the things. And I worked so hard to make a recovery. And as you see now, I fully did. I spent 20 days total in the hospital and then 2 months in physical therapy, and outpatient therapy. And I just worked as hard as I could. And still at the end of that, when I went back to work, nobody thought that I'd be able to use my left hand to type or my fingers or be able to drive. And by the time I went back, I did both. Not very well. I shouldn't have been driving, but I did. And I just kept going. So it was hard to learn how to walk again, but it was harder to learn how to ski again. I did love skiing, and there was some things that you still have to get the mind to learn new pathways, and it does. The brain can rewire itself when you think new thoughts and neurons fire together, they rewire together. So you can learn new activities and you can learn new thought processes. So that took a long time for me to learn and to work through. I spent another 5 years really overcoming all of that and learning how to get the trauma out of me finally once and for all, and how to change my mindset. And I learned I obviously had a lot of personal growth during that time. Before I was just, going through the motions. This time I really had a lot of personal growth to take me to another level emotionally as a person internally. And when I was towards the end of that, I did find love again. And I finally did find passion and fulfillment again. And I loved my life. And I had the love of my life. I met my happily ever after. I started a business with him. And that is why I do something completely unrelated than what I used to do in healthcare, because I wanted to build a life with him, and we wanted freedom and we wanted to travel. And so our two skill sets together of property management worked and made sense, because he was a certified home inspector. He's great at maintenance. I'm great at scaling a business and networking and marketing. So together, it made sense. And we were running the business and life was great. And then, as life would have it, he got diagnosed with cancer and stage 3 cancer. And by the time when that happened, unfortunately, his family stepped in and gave him some conditions and really manipulated him when he was at the worst place in his life, and gave him a decision between his family and I lost everything this time because I did have balance. I lost my best friend, I lost my lover, I lost my business partner, I lost all my future plans, my dreams, and I was devastated, really beyond anything I could have ever imagined. My whole life bottomed out, and I realized that this was a test for me, that the universe, because I was ready to launch speaking career now. After my personal growth, I was ready to really launch a speaking career and coaching and helping people work through trauma and the mind-body connection and how powerful it is to live disease-free. And then when this happened, I was like, oh yes, I'm going to help Ryan heal his cancer. And this is going to be my testament to all of the things I've learned. But instead, life pulled the rug out from underneath me to make my stroke story look like I just spilled a pint of ice cream on the floor. And like, that was it. It made that story look so diminished now, when that was huge, from how much I was devastated. And so I thought, okay, the universe is saying, you think you know what you're doing? Let's find out if you really do. Let's have you go through this of all the things you think you're going to teach other people, and see if you really do know what you're talking about, so you can experience it fully to help others. So this time I didn't overthink. I didn't stay in the past, and I just kept doing action and trying to implement each of the things that I believed I thought I'd learn. And I turned everything around. I moved away. I bought myself a house with a pool. I found joy in everything I do on a daily basis. And that's where I'm here now. I'm happy and have overcome quite a bit.
Yes, you have. That's that was a that was a list. I'm taking notes over here. That was that
My
was
one story turned into a huge story on a bigger scale, larger scale.
yes, it did. It really did. Okay. So slightly confused here, just a hair. So his family made him choose between them and you, and he chose them, but you two are together now?
We have come, it's been a year and we have come for full circle back together. And I can tell you his mind shift when people are in major crisis, and that includes a major health decision, we default back to what's familiar, even if it's not healthy or good. That's what all of us do. And so even though he's come out of some inner child issues with his mother, I mean, he was just recently diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and he's looking for the path of least resistance from stress. And when they did that, you default back to what's familiar, even if it's not the best thing for you. And you don't know that, but he didn't have the strength in him at the time. And he is feeling better. He's gone through radiation and chemo, and it's been a year now, and came through a lot. Came through when he started to feel better from chemo in March, that he really wanted to re-engage in the business again, because the business was completely dumped on me, obviously by myself. I ran it by myself for 8 months, and that was so hard and stressful as well. And so when he started re-engaging in the business, well, we had some discussions, and I let him start re-engaging out of desperation, because I had moved to Florida to get away. The ocean grounds me. Having my feet in the sand really
Yes.
grounds me, and listening to the waves. And
Yes.
I really sat by my pool with my coffee every morning and learned how to gratitude and to be immersed in gratitude. And that was a process. But I
Yeah.
finally got there, and I started finding joy in everything I do every day. The sunsets on the beach are different every day, and I go and find that. And I started having breakfast every morning on my great grandma's china. And it makes me smile every morning thinking about the dinners we had at her house and how special she is to me. And I'm reminded of, one, she always wore red lipstick, and that's where I get that from, because I always wear red lipstick, and just the things about her that I love, I'm reminded by that every morning, and it starts my day off with some joy and a smile. And I now find all that throughout every day, and I feel fulfilled by life instead of work. So out of desperation in Boise, because that's where most of our properties are, I let him start re-engaging in work, and from there we talked more and more, and now he has made a stand and told his family, this wasn't what I wanted, and this is not what I want for my life moving forward. And so we have moved back in together and are working to move everything we had, working to reconnect and pick up where we left off last year and move us forward. So it may just have a happy ending after all, like all around a happy ending. But in the process, I found myself the confidence and secure love and emotional intelligence that I've never had before. And it put me to the test to that. And I did survive on my own and really come into myself in a way where I loved myself and am fulfilled on a daily basis with the life I built without him. And that makes me feel great, quite honestly.
Yes. I can entirely relate to that from my own history with my ex-husband. I ended up unintentionally, but of course it happens over time. My life ended up getting completely wrapped up in whatever it was he was doing, completely neglecting everything I had planned to do for myself. Became incredibly ill with lupus. Gee, sound familiar? Because of all the stress from
Yep.
it and losing myself, and
Yes.
divorce after over 30 years of marriage. And yeah, rebuilding myself, even though I didn't have the, having to do all of the neuroplastic growth that and rewiring that you had to go through. Um, I kind of see where you're going with that, in that the better you do on your own, the better your relationship is with somebody else, because you are
Yeah.
so certain and so strong in who you are. Am I correct?
Yes, 100%. And now I learned to find my voice, and I'll never let that go again. I'll never just be quiet and do what society thinks is right. I did it myself and I found my voice, and I will never let that go again. And I know that if this isn't healthy, that I'm fine without him. That's what I want, but I know that I'm fine without it, and that I will still have fulfillment and love in my life. So you made me think of something. So really, when you talked about rewiring the brain, I think 1.0 of that was literally physically getting new pathways to create new blood flows so that I could walk again, so that I could talk again. My brain had to learn all that. And I literally am a walking miracle because I don't have a carotid artery. And that's your main artery to your heart. And honestly, still, I don't really know how I'm alive with that. And I've seen the 3D scans of my head and my neck. And I do those every year, and my brain surgeon is like, wow, I've never seen this before. And I don't really know what's going on to that level, but he will point to how there's just new blood flow that I have, that in new, lines and stuff that no one else has, that he's never seen before. But the body knows how to heal itself, and it
Yes.
will find a way to heal itself. So the first thing I had to do was physically rewire my brain and blood flows and things like that physically to stay alive. Then once I got through this, it was really figuring out how to rewire my brain to new thought processes, to new behaviors, and to have a mind shift and change in my mental state and thought processes to take me to another level of confidence and love and being.
I'm taking notes.
And that's where I really like to help people. Yeah. And that is where I would really like to serve and help people, because stress is the number one killer. Stress, as you know, getting lupus, it causes migraines, it causes back pain, joint pain, but prolonged chronic stress causes cancer and strokes and heart attacks. And truly, truly can kill you. And it's scary. And we live in a state of chronic, prolonged stress in this country. Everybody's so busy, and we're just doing, 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 doing. But if we're not doing something that's fulfilling, it's just stressful, reacting to everything and filling your day with tasks and to-do lists. And you're never going to be fully healthy or at peace or content with yourself until you start doing things that are actually fulfilling in your day. And so that's where I would like to help people get out of that trauma, get out of that chronic stress that they're stuck in, and find that, transform them so they find their purpose, so that they really live with vitality, energy, and unwavering determination. The mind is powerful. And when you can switch that mindset, nothing can stop you. You can heal your cancer. You can become whomever and whatever you want. Once you find that determination, nothing will stop you.
That's right. Exactly. That's right.
And I
Right.
have another health testament to that point, is that been through a lot, right? As many of us have. So this last year, in addition to me healing, me coming out of this, my partner has cancer, watching that from afar, which was gruesome and painful for me. My own mother went into the ICU, and I needed to come back and take care of her. And she has two really great lessons in my life that I can share with other people. My mom and I were complete opposite, really, in every way. She was calm, not type A, which I am, pretty high strung, very driven, want to work, want to produce, and do that. And she was calm, read books, she colored, she loved to sit and color. And I'm like, I couldn't sit there and that would make me crazy. Like I can't be that calm and sit and do that. I hate to read. And that's what she did. And she liked to just sit. She didn't move. She didn't like to exercise. And my mother had literally every comorbidity a person can have. She was morbidly obese, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. She had kidney disease. She had osteoporosis. She had the gamut. And she didn't mind living that way. Her and I had different definitions of quality of life, but my mom was happy and she was calm. She still smoked with all of that stuff, COPD and diabetes, still smoked, never got cancer, never had a heart attack, never had a stroke. Me, perfectly healthy, teaching aerobics 5 times a week, stressed out as all get out, and living with trauma and rage like right under the skin. I had a stroke at 46. So that right there tells how powerful and detrimental stress is. Stress is more detrimental to us than all the chronic diseases you can get out there combined. So my mother ends up going in the ICU, as one would all those conditions end up doing at some point, right? When she really wasn't very old. She was in her 70s, not that old by today's standards, people who stay active and healthy. And when she was in there, she got to a point where she realized she wouldn't be able to ever go home again to the lifestyle she had. She needed to live in an assisted living care, and she did not want to do that. And she wanted to go home and still smoke and sit on her couch and be sedentary and go back to her life. And when that wasn't an option, my mom said, that's it. I'm going on palliative care. I don't want that life. I'm not going to live this way. And she said, no more therapies, no more medicine, no more anything, and closed her eyes. And that was it. 3 days later, she exited her body, still never had a stroke, didn't have a heart attack, literally willed herself out of her body and out of this life. And when she, on the last day, on her last moments, her kidney function was still fine, her vitals were still fine. And the people at the nursing home, well, she was in like long-term acute living, kind of in a transition of care to get to an assisted living. And they're like, we don't really know what happened because no heart attack or stroke. She literally never opened her eyes again and made that determination and said, I'm not going to live that way. If I can't go home, I'm not going to live, and made that decision. And that was it. And in 3 days, willed herself out of her body, and is her choice.
Wow.
It is, the mind is that powerful. Like when you sit in meditation and nothing else and are determined on an outcome, you will get that outcome.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought then in the end she was going to have a heart attack and she was a DNR and we wouldn't bring her back. Shocking to me that that still never happened. She literally just left this life.
You have to excuse me because my brain just went.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, everything that I know and that I believe, she has proven for me and the rest of the world to learn from, that stress kills faster than destroying your body. She destroyed her body. She did not take care of herself at all. And even in the end, her body in that bad of health did not fail her. She made a decision, and my mom was very, like I said, calm, focused, and her mind was in perfect condition. Her body was destroyed, but she was still incredibly cognizant and making clear decisions and speaking right. She knew exactly what was going on, and she made that choice.
Her free will.
It was, and it's just a testament to how powerful the mind is. Now, I did forget some of my story because I feel like my story is so long. I could talk for forever about it. So I was trying to condense it. And the piece that's probably pretty critical to back up with is I've always been in healthcare. I got my undergrad degree in health promotion, and then again, climb the ladder, learn more, do more. That's what's going to be successful, lead to success. So I got my master's in health education, but I always had the passion for the mental health and all aspects of mental health and depression and all of that, and health behavior. So I had an emphasis in health behavior. I worked in primary care. I worked in population health because it was really important to me to figure out the components. If somebody has diabetes, if they're depressed, they're not going to manage their diabetes. If they have an addiction to smoking or other things, then they're not going to manage their diabetes properly. And so for me, I always had that passion of the mental health component and the mind body connection. So after my stroke, really learning firsthand that had I had the behavioral piece to my stress and trauma, I would have never had a stroke. When I went into my primary care physician crying all the time and having horrible migraines, if someone would have said, you really need a life coach to help you get through this and deal with this, or you really need to figure out, stress management and anger management. If I would have had that piece and those tools, I would have never had a stroke. And I wouldn't have spent so many years living in the past and reliving the pain of the past. I would have figured out how to process through that and move on so much faster. So after my stroke and I came out of that, I did get my doctorate because, again, the more education you do and proving how much I can still do and proving I can go back and get a doctorate after having a stroke, I got my doctorate in integrated behavioral health so that I can help people understand that strong connection and how powerful the mind is, and that the mind can heal you, and we have everything we need within us to heal ourselves and to become whatever we want. So not only can the body heal itself, the mind is more powerful than all of that. And if we really tap into it, then we're unstoppable. And that's truly it. And my mom's a testament to that. So that is where I really want to put my knowledge and personal experience to be able to help others prevent diseases or reverse them, and lead a higher quality of life, but lead the life that's fulfilling for them, right? And so I feel like I've done that now with a house in Florida. That's where I'm happiest. And I am back in Boise for the summer, back with Ryan, figuring this out as I stated. And plus our business that we have, which is not fulfilling to me, but it gives me the freedom and the finances to do the things that are fulfilling to me. So as you said, I love to adventure. I just went to Africa and climbed Kilimanjaro, and talk about doing that after a stroke. That was incredibly emotional. When I got to the rooftop of Africa, I was bawling hysterically. And I was just like, I can't believe that I have overcome being paralyzed, and I am 19,300 feet in the air. And it took me 6 days to get there, right? I mean, it was everything, life changing. And the fact that I have got my life to a place where I'm not 9 to 5 in the corporate, killing myself for somebody else, worried about deadlines and not having vacations and being on their time frame, that I have transformed my life to where I have the finances, to do such a thing, and the time and flexibility in something I own that provides me cash flow to do that. It was seriously, I was like, pinch me. Like the whole time, it was like a pinch me moment that I've transformed my life that much from where I've come from. And it felt so good. And after that, I then went on an 8-day safari with an amazing group of women. And I have all kinds of new friends now here from Boise, Idaho, and that I can spend the summer paddleboarding with, because I'm actually never going to hike again. I love to hike, but after that mountain, I'm actually never hiking again. And I gave my brand new hiking boots away to one of the porters that don't have any money before I left. I was like, that one was it. It was a lot. That one was it for me. So then I went on a safari, and then I went to Zanzibar for 3 days. One of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And I sat there in awe and just every day feeling like so grateful and proud of myself, quite honestly, that I've been able to change my life this much and not be tied to a job, and that I have balance in my life now. And I've really come through that and find joy in everything. And then on the way home I still do make the most of everything that I can in life. And my girlfriend and I had an 18-hour layover in Turkey on the way home. So in Istanbul, we did 3 different tours. We took a private yacht out. I did a Turkish bath, which, by the way, if you ever get an opportunity to do that, anybody out there, do it. And if you do it in Turkey, it only costs $60. And it's like a 3-hour experience. And it totally is, in my head, is got to be like what royalty back in the olden days, if you were a princess and they put you up on a stone and bathed you, is literally what it was. And it was the most incredible experience I've about ever had. One of the most pleasurable experiences I've ever had in my life. So I do encourage you to go to Turkey just for that alone. It would be worth it. So
Oh my God,
I packed in everything I could in those 18 hours and came back feeling quite refreshed.
Wow. Oh my
Huge
gosh.
change from the depression that I felt, the being in the hospital, not knowing where money was going to come from, and still just trying to find the next job. Radical difference. And when I did buy this business and it started to make a shift, we weren't there yet at all. We were a slave to the business and the operations. I mean, that takes a while to get out, to have the cash flow and other people in the operation so you can step out and have that freedom. And we weren't there yet last year when the rug was pulled out from underneath of me with everything, and the business was dumped on me. But not only did I lose my business partner, my lover, my friend, all of those things, I ended up being homeless even. And that's a pretty key thing that I actually think I just block out, that I try to forget. So he and I were in a lease together, which when that expired, I wasn't about to stay living here in Boise for another year or renewing that. So I literally was homeless for 6 weeks trying to figure out what was next. So processing the pain, the grief, and just kept moving and going. I finally decided that Florida was where I wanted to be, and I got myself there, and somehow miraculously bought myself a house. And I have a lot of people to thank for that. And I kept moving in a new direction with a new mindset, and have changed everything around, right? Because a year later from that, I am spending a month in Africa and went to 4 different countries. So huge change. And that's a testament. You can change your life so fast. One decision can change everything. I mean, one decision in the hospital that this was not going to define me woke my body up, and I got over paralysis. One decision for my mother not to live the life that she was facing took her out. And one decision that Ryan made to choose his family, he lost the business, he lost his home, he lost everything too. He lost his life partner, his plans for his future, he lost his income and his health insurance because the business paid for all of that. So he also, one decision can change everything. And my decision this time to not overthink and to keep moving forward, and to then figure out the business so that I could still get what our plans were, I changed everything about the business in about 4 months, so that I could have the freedom, and figured it out. And a year later, I feel on top of the world. And I literally was just there. And inside my spirit feels that way too. So
Wow.
your life,
I've had a lot of people say
change fast.
your life can change very fast. I've had a lot of people say to me that I should write a book. I got to tell you, I want to read your book. I think
Well, so far I've only done a book on Airbnb because I thought that was quick to put out for more money on Instagram. I thought that was a quick cash flow. But I write a book, and thank you for encouraging me for that. I do want to be a transformational speaker and really start reaching a larger audience. So now that my life appears to be more stable, and quite honestly, I get afraid to say that because life goes up and down. And if you say that, then life tests you, right? And so I'm afraid to actually put out to the universe, hey, I feel so stable. This is great. I'm happy. Things are good. And I do get still a little trepid to do that, right? And but that being said, it is come full circle with the business. It's flowing. I obviously spent a month away, and I am refocused on where I left off a year ago, which is speaking, coming on podcasts, and revisiting coaching and in a book. Because now it's like a really big story.
It is.
That all has the same theme, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
It's
by
going to be
this time next year, I'll come back with a book.
That would be great. That would be great. I can't wait for it to come out. Oh man.
I don't know if there is a mountain to climb higher next year before I get here, but I'll find something adventurous that I've done before then. Maybe I'll drop out of a plane because that scares me. So maybe that's what I'll do.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine myself doing that. Wow. Wow. Your story is amazing. Your story is mind-blowing and amazing and so full of hope, but not what's the word, how do I want to describe it? Not the kind of hope of, oh gee, I really hope, but more like concrete hope, like real tangible.
Yeah.
And that's
proof that it can be done.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's wow. Your stories.
I have had, thank you. When I visit providers for regular checkups, and every time there's a new provider, they look at me and say, you shouldn't be here. And when they're reading my medical charts. And when I first got to, if you know Boise, Idaho, outpatient rehab is, I want to say St. Luke's, but it's St. Elk's. And when I first got to St. Elk's, there was many different therapists and providers that I saw. And one of them was a psychologist that came in, and he looked at me and he said, I've been doing this for 32 years and I've seen 4 people who are literal miracles. And he said, and you are one of them. And he said, you were chosen to be here for a reason. So figure it out and don't blow it. And I'm like, no pressure there. I have no idea. And it has still taken me, that was in 2017. So it's been almost 10 years now that I still feel like sometimes, why am I here? I'm not doing anything with it. I'm not telling my story. I'm not helping people. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Short-term rental management? I don't think that was it, but it's taken me, I think it's taken this long to figure it out. And for whatever reason, the universe has tested me and tested me again and tested me on epic levels. And I've arrived where now I really believe I can help people. And I have something that is fulfilling and passionate for me to be able to do that. And I come from a place now that I am proof to all of it.
Yeah. I'm like virtually speechless. And if you've listened to my podcast, that doesn't happen very often. In fact, this might be the only time. So, okay, I've only got one last question for you. That's all I've got. So if somebody is listening to this and they're laying in a hospital bed and they don't know if they're going to be here tomorrow, but they happen to be listening to this, or if you could reach back to yourself.
Right.
When you were laying in that hospital bed, and essentially maybe your daughter already said it, but maybe you've got something else you want to say too. What would you say to yourself or to that person?
That there's hope, as you said. It's never too late to release the trauma and reverse whatever has gotten you there, whatever disease state has gotten you there. I don't believe it's ever too late to reverse it. I believe miracles happen, and I believe that they can happen with the right mindset. I believe there is healing in gratitude and meditation if you really learn all the aspects how to do it. And I truly believe in I'll call it group healing, but when you have a group of people who are coming from a sense of love and support, and your heart, and you are healing from your heart, not just like, oh, I wish I could get better, or I wish this cancer would go away, I gotta live. If it's coming heart-centered, and your mind and your heart are in alignment, your emotions and your thoughts have to be in alignment. And if they are, I believe you can come out of anything. And it's more powerful if you have that group around you who are all also in pure alignment, coming from the heart with you. I think they can pull those disease states out and get rid of it. One last piece, not to my partner who I said had cancer, stage 3 cancer is where he was. And as I said, the tumor shrunk, but it hasn't gone away. And he hasn't surgically removed it for some reasons. If he surgically removes it, it's a guarantee that he's on 2 bags because they will take the prostate as well. And he doesn't want to live that way. So he hasn't removed it, but it's small. His blood marker has gone down. It's not gone. And he did have some spots in his lungs, but he also has asthma. And the doctor was like, a lot of people have those. Plus you have asthma, no big deal. We'll just watch him. And his last 2 scans this time, they got more and then they got bigger, and the cancer has metastasized into his lungs. And I am not surprised by that whatsoever, because you can't live under that kind of stress. You can't have that many major life changes with cancer, let alone stage 3 cancer, and not have the stress affecting your body. It's impossible. So he did everything right by the books, by the healthcare system, but also by all of his research and doing meditation and the diet: no sugar, no wheat, no enriched, no anything, right? No alcohol. It's very strict, plant-based only, no acids, all of that. And all of that he has done outside of what the doctors, hospitals say and prescribe, has shrunk the tumor and kept it there. But that stress was there for so long, even if you don't realize it is, and it's affecting you. So I am not surprised that that's there. And his diagnosis from the medical field is now no longer curable, which rectal cancer was. When it's stage 4 and it's metastasized, he's now looking at, according to them, incurable. But we don't say that. We don't let the doctor say that. And his mindset has to stay that everything he's doing is right and it will heal. And now he does need that miracle. He needs that determination, that focus, and for his mind and emotions to be in line with his heart and nothing else. And everyone needs to support that. And if it does, I believe that Brian will lead a long, healthy life. We're going to prove one more miracle in my lifetime before I finish my book. We're going to prove that one too, and have a happily ever after in my book. So it ends well.
Amen. Okay. Well, Julie, this has been, I have to say, an emotional hour. This was emotional. This was wow. I can't wait to get this podcast out. I can't. I think that I think this is one podcast episode that's gonna really affect people in a great way. And I just thank you so much for sitting here and sharing your story. I'm so honored that you did. Thank you so very, very, very much.
I thank you for the opportunity to begin to share this, and to help me fill my voice even more and to begin to share my story. And if there's anybody out there with cancer or who's had a stroke or who is stuck in fight or flight or freeze, I'm happy for them to reach out to me. I've started to create programs and build programs to help people through that, and reverse all that. So I would, again, if anybody out there would like to reach out and talk further, I would love to discuss anything and help them through that.
How can they find you?
That's a great question. Do you want to put my email out to folks?
I can do that. So Dr. Julz' email is Julie at Mike.
No, I'm going to give you a different one. Yep. It's Dr. Julz, spelled Julz, 11 @gmail.com.
Okay, so Dr. Julz, Julz 11 at gmail.com.
Yes.
All right, we've got it.
Thank you so much. And then the book and the website will be coming soon.
I'm so excited. I'm so
And if
excited.
anybody has an Airbnb and really wants to know how to make that profitable, so you can go to Africa for a month, you can call me on that too.
Yes, remember, she's got butterfly vacation rentals. And I thought, no, I don't have that website on here.
That's
But it is
that's
butterfly vacation.
butterflyvacationrentals.com. And on there is a business phone number line as well as an email, info@butterflyvacationrentals.com.
All right, great, great, great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been very pleasurable for me. And speaking is healing. So this helps me continue to heal as well. Um, yeah, you can't heal if you keep things suppressed. And so I appreciate that opportunity very, very much. And I admire you. And I'm so honored to be here and to be part of your journey as well.
Thank you. And thank you. And thank you. And I know a lot of people listening to this are going to be like, thank you. So I'll say that for them. I'm certain of it. I can think of no, the list just grew to 4 people in my head who are going to be like, oh my God. So
That girl's been through it.
one of
And
them
she's
has,
still smiling with red lipstick. I still put on the red lipstick no matter what.
one of them is a previous guest, and is also my daughter-in-law, Jessie Serrano. She's a previous episode. She has a brain tumor that she lives with every
Oh,
day. So your episode is, I'm certain, is going to touch her very much. And that's just one person, and I got others in my head. So yeah, I'm
yeah, I would
excited.
love to connect with her.
Yes, I'm. Thank you. Okay, so the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Humor and Chaos podcast. I'm Sarah Howard Nelson, certified life coach, certified art therapy practitioner. And if you would like to be a guest or know anyone who'd be a great guest on this podcast, shoot me an email at humorinchaos@gmail.com, or you can find me at www.humorinchaos.com. All right, Julie, thank you so much. And wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.